Have y'all ever heard that saying that by saying that you're prettier than Aphrodite, she will come down and smite you or otherwise punish you? Yeah, no. Hello, I'm your host with the most, Zia, and today we're going to talk about why you will never be smited by the gods, even if you quote-unquote deserve it. The tale of smiting is a tale as old as time. I personally have never been on TikTok, especially witch talk, and thank the gods for that, but I have heard secondhand about the horrors that go on there, especially about and around the gods. And trust me, I have been on the weird side of Tumblr. While it's not as bad, I would assume, I've seen some questionable stuff on there. And by Tumblr, I mean Pagan Blur, I think it's called, or Witch Blur. I've been on there, don't worry. I've seen some weird stuff on there. But out of all the weird stuff I've seen, I have heard a lot about smiting. So today we're going to break it down and explain why smiting isn't real. So to start, smiting is the action of basically being struck down by a god, usually by lightning for the visuals, of course, for something that you have done to offend them. There are plenty of examples of gods smiting, punishing people across many mythologies from ancient to modern, like from Hindu stories even to the Bible. You hear it all the time, and we've heard it plenty in Greek mythology. Even if you have only heard Greek myths in passing or you don't know much about them, you have definitely heard wrath stories, like the many wrath stories of Hera or Aphrodite and Psyche, etc. Usually in these stories, the god's wrath is sometimes justified, but is usually over small and stupid things. Like in one of Aphrodite's myths, didn't she ruin someone's life because another person said that that person was prettier than her? Even though the person who said it, the lady who said it, didn't even say it herself? I think that'd be the Psyche story. And we all know about Hera's wrath and myth. But we are fed these stories, and you would think when interacting with the actual gods, people would use common sense and realize that these stories are stories. But nope. I've heard so many stories of people saying that the gods are going to absolutely decimate you for doing the smallest things. Unfortunately, I feel like fear-mongering is kind of a big thing I've seen in the Hellenic polytheist community, aka the gods are going to smite you because you didn't offer $100 worth of gold, jewelry, or make them a full extravagant meal or whatever. Basically, people will say the gods will smite you for the smallest reasons. And once you use your reasoning skills and get a little more into religion, that doesn't make sense. But of course, it is still harmful to tell people this, obviously. So no, the gods won't smite you because you didn't offer large amounts of expensive items every day, the gods won't smite you at all, or anyone. Now, of course, I don't speak for the gods, and in reality, I got no clue what goes on in the gods' world, but to be honest, I'm just using logic and a bit of theology, and I guess lived experience. I don't know, maybe some version of smiting exists, but also my main argument for why smiting doesn't exist is that we would know for sure. People would be getting smited every day, and obviously I'm sure it would be obviously well. Like with how awful a lot of people can be, we would know. To be honest, that's my main argument, but of course there's more to say. If smiting existed, like I said, a lot of people get smited every day, maybe even whole towns, or rarely maybe even whole countries. There's a lot of corruption in our world, so we would definitely see that every day. Actually, somehow, I think a common belief in ancient Greece, certain parts, I don't know which part, maybe Athens, I think, and something that Plato seemed to think is that one person's corruption could bring ruin to whole towns. Plato, people always say it Plato. People always say it Plato, and that's like, there's nothing wrong with saying that, but it feels weird because I hear it all the time, but technically Plato isn't right, because obviously the A sound didn't exist in ancient Greek, so it is Plato, but it feels weird to say. People always say Plato, like the toy. So I'm gonna keep saying it Plato. So if you think it's weird, I'm just saying that's simply how you pronounce it, because like I said, the A sound didn't exist in ancient Greek. I said this real quick. So if you think I'm saying it weird or not, okay? Sorry. So Plato didn't support people having private and personal connections with the gods because he said that one person being disrespectful or whatever could kill all of them in the town. And obviously that's not true. If it was, literally none of us would be alive. Especially not people in ancient Greece with what they had going on. Though this is kind of where it gets complicated. While yes, the gods won't punish you for what someone else did, like the destroying of towns part, but hear me out. So there's this belief that Kybele, Rhea, Magna Mater, whatever you want to call her, was a part of the fall of Rome. Like I said, hear me out. In Rome, it was believed that Kybele, Magna Mater, the Great Mother as they called her, saved Rome because since they were getting absolutely wrecked during the Second Punic War, they pulled out their little prophecy book, and it was prophesied that the Idaean mother of Pessinus, which I think I pronounced that, which meant Kybele to them, bringing her worship would save Italy. And boom, they brought her worship to Italy, and they were saved. They stopped getting wrecked, and her cult gained high recognition because, gratitude. But they had one problem, and I mean by them, the Romans, or the Roman Senate. The galley priests, they could not stand them. Unlike ancient Greece, Rome was not chill with the eunuch priest, and were very, I guess you could say, prejudiced against them. Roman citizens were not allowed to become galley priests, and the priests were basically not allowed outside the temples besides on certain days. And there's even a story of a galley priest, a gallus, as they're called. They went to the Roman Senate to help with a temple that needs to be cleansed, but the Roman Senate was disrespecting them very badly. They were even saying, like, you can't wear your clothes to the gallus. Like, galley priests are very gaudy in the way they dress, basically by Roman standards. So the gallus was very disrespected to the point they didn't want to come out to wherever they were staying. Like, I guess you could say like a modern version of a hotel. They didn't want to come out. They were like, I'm done talking to y'all. So because of that, one of the Roman Senate, they got very sick. And in the course of, I think it was 3 days, just straight up died. He died. Like, I'm not kidding. He died. So then they were like, oh shit. So they let the gallus wear their clothes, the clothes they like to wear. That's part of their priesthood. And they were treated with a lot of respect now. And even when they went home, which is a very long walk because they came from far away to try to help with the temple or whatever, they were aided by a crowd of Roman men and women who walked them home. Like, I mean, like a crowd of people. So that's a nice little story I like. But as you can see, they were not messing with the eunuch priest. They just didn't like it, Roman people. So because of that, and it's believed since that Kybele saved Rome, it seemed like she was probably felt very disrespected by the disrespect of her priest. So that's where it gets complicated, and it's believed that because of that Kybele helped Rome fall, the empire fall. But like I said, this is where it gets complicated because obviously Rome fell for various reasons and can't be completely attributed to Kybele or any god. But like I said, she was basically the savior of Rome, and I'd be mad too if my priests were getting disrespected like that. So we'll never know. Maybe some acts could be considered smiting and divine intervention, but for the most part, it can also be explained by divine reasons. I mean, mundane reasons. But back to why smiting isn't real, as people describe it at least. If people were instantly smited for their corruption, yes, that person will be gone, but it would not solve the problem of corruption. Okay, from Sallustius, I think it is, on the gods in the world, why evildoers are not punished at once. There is no need to be surprised if neither these sins nor yet others bring immediate punishment upon sinners. For it is not only spirits who punish the evil, the soul brings itself to judgment. And also, it is not right for those who endure forever to attain everything in a short amount of time, for there is need of human virtue. If punishment followed instantly upon sin, men would act justly from fear and have no virtue. Souls are punished when they have gone forth from the body, some wandering among us, some going from hot to cold places of the earth, or some harassed by spirits. Under all circumstances, they suffer with the irrational part of their nature, with which they also sinned. For its sake, there subsists that shadowy body which is seen about graves, especially the graves of evil livers. So as you can see, it is important to have virtue, especially as the gods reward virtue. It is an important trait in people. If people were smited, at least immediately, people wouldn't actually be virtuous, but instead would just be scared. And that's not very nice now, is it? Like I said, virtue and kindness, xenia, is very important to the gods. So why would they make a world where nobody's actually virtuous, but is actually just acting that way out of fear? So those are the main reasons that smiting doesn't exist. I'm sure you already know that, but every time I see fear-mongering in this community, I just think about these facts. And even in my first video I ever made, which doesn't exist anymore, I brought up the topic of smiting and why it doesn't exist. So yeah, I hope we're all able to get something out of this video. And I'm glad to finally get off my chest. It's been weighing on me. Thank you for watching. Today's hymn is going to be to Kybele Rhea, her many names. Since I mentioned her and she's the potential destroyer of Rome, my personal enemy, she deserves her hymn. This is the Orphic hymn to Rhea. And yes, I said Rome is my enemy, okay? My Roman Empire is hating Rome. I can't. Okay, I'm sorry. Mighty Rhea, daughter of many-faced protogenos, your sacred chariot is drawn by bull slayers. You dance to the sound of drums and cymbals. O frenzy-loving maiden, O mother of Zeus, aegis-bearing lord of Olympus, illustrious and honored, Cronos' blessed consort, you delight in the mountains and in the horrid shrieks of mortals. Strong-spirited Rhea, queen of queens, lover of the battle din, lyre, savior, redeemer, first by birth, mother of gods and mortals, From you come the earth and the wide sky above. Ethereal and restless come, O blessed goddess, O gentle-minded Savior, come, bring peace and wealth and abundance of possessions, and do send death and filth of pollution to the ends of the earth. Again, thank you for watching. Just remember that the gods won't smite you unless you are a Roman Senate disrespecting their galley priest, not joking, for breathing at them wrong, and praise the gods always. Bye!